This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jimmy Mack Jr. Jimmy Mack, firstly, Happy New Year. Hope you had a good Christmas as well.
Mate. Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well, and I hope you had a good Christmas.
Did you go up to much over the festive period?
Do you know what? Like, over Christmas, I've just been non-stop eating. I've had a few Christmas sort of like parties to go to and stuff, but New Year, ready to crack on now, and obviously look forward to Feb 23rd.
I know we've just mentioned the festive period, you'd been indulging over the period as well, but how difficult is it, because you know that James would have been in camp over that time as well?
Yeah, like James has been training really so I think there was like it was going to go December time and then it moved, so we've been training really from sort of August, September till now really, so he's in brilliant shape now already, like everything's going well, the training's going well, he's mentally in a good place, and he cannot wait to get in there on the 23rd of Feb.
Talk to me about the dates. Obviously I heard that December was a possibility and then it was January, now it's been announced for February. How come it has taken that bit longer to be made?
Do you know what, I don't really know the ins and outs of behind the scenes. I speak to James when I pass him, I go, any update, Chunk, and he'll go, you know, like, should know like in the next week or so. And it just kept getting moved and moved and moved, but finally I think we've got a good date. The O2 is going to be packed, and 23rd of Feb is going to be a wicked night. I can't wait.
How's James looking? Obviously he's vacated his title now, had the defeat, then won it back. What have you seen in him in terms of, has he still got it in him to reach world level and to maybe fight for another world title or to have those big fights still? Have you seen it in him? Yeah,
so James is a world-class fighter. He's won Olympic gold medal, he's been British, European, two-time world champion. But he said before, he said up there today about his injuries and stuff, and really he should have just had a year out, 18 months out, and just not boxed. But you try and tell that to James. You can't take boxing off him, that's all he does, that's all he knows. James DeGale looks unbelievable in the gym right now, and I can't wait for February the 23rd, because there's going to be a lot of people's questions that are going to be answered. I think a lot of people are looking at this fight thinking, oh, timing, this, that and the other. It's all worked out well, trust me. Feb 23rd is going to be our night, trust me.
How hard is it for you guys as a team and for James to shake that defeat to Truax and that performance? Because obviously it keeps getting brought up. I know I'm bringing it up now, but how difficult is it for you guys just to shake that, and people keep looking back and comparing that James DeGale to what they might expect against Chris Eubank Jr?
I think because of the whole Truax thing of no one sort of really knew who Truax was, and when it happened everyone was like, oh my God, what happened? But James knows the answer. He knew the answer within himself. He knew he shouldn't have been boxing. He said, like, you know, like, I'll just get in there. You can't do that. Not at that level, you can't do it. But he's learned from it. And I honestly think, I know it sounds mad now, I think it was a blessing in disguise, because now we're here. Would we have been here before? Maybe not.
Just before I touch on the fact that we're here, he's obviously decided to vacate his IBF world title. What was the thinking and the decision behind that?
Financial, really. James is looking at it, he said, listen, I've boxed at the high end for the last 3 or 4 years. I've won world titles. People in Britain don't know who Jose Uzcategui is. Like, that's not a sell. And people know who Chris Eubank Jr is, and it's an easier fight. So it just made business sense for James. He said, listen, I've won my world titles. Belts ain't missing in my life. I've won my world titles. So for me, it ain't about belts no more. It's about securing my legacy. He wants the big fights, and he's securing his financial future. And that's just honest.
You touched on the financial future of it. Do you think people might look at him and also think he's just chasing the money now, and how difficult it'd be for you guys just to maybe reassure people it's not the case?
Yeah, I can see people looking in from the outside and watching the Truax fights and thinking, right, he's taking this fight purely for money now. But boxing's too hard if you're just doing it for money. You've got to have that will, that desire to win. Like, listen, James and Chris, they don't like each other. Like, it's clear to see they don't like each other. Would you put everything on the line, your reputation, your pride, if you was to say, oh, you know, like, I'll just get in there and get one last payday? Like, listen, they're both going to do really well at the fight, but ultimately they both want to win. Like, and you don't box to the level that James DeGale's boxed at if you're not a winner, if you're not world class. You don't win them sort of things if you ain't. So from what I'm seeing with my own eyes in the gym, he looks unbelievable, and I think everyone's going to turn around after and go, wow, wow.
Now, obviously, before the fight was announced, I was led to believe Rocky Fielding was one of the leading front runners for James to fight. What was the situation there? Was there any talks going on?
I think I see it like it was mainly on social media, like Twitter and Instagram and stuff, but nothing really sort of come to fruition with that. I think it was mentioned, but it was just sort of like a passing comment type thing, because obviously Rocky Fielding had won his belt and stuff, and obviously James had still had his IBF at the time, and it was all back and forth. But ultimately he got the Canelo fight. Fair play to him, he done well. And yeah, James just decided to go this route. Took an 8-rounder in America, and yeah, Chris Eubank Jr.
And you've just touched on it there. We will finally come on to Chris Eubank Jr. Just talk to me about what you're expecting from Chris. And he just mentioned he's linked up with a permanent trainer for the first time in his career. How much of a difference do you think that will make on the night for him?
I suppose it can be a plus or a minus for him. If he gels well with him, it could work well. I don't know, what they're going to be working on or whatever. But if you look at Chris's strengths, he's obviously supremely fit. He's tough. He's durable. He's game. He's in there. But at world level, when he steps up with the top boys, Billy Joe Saunders, George Groves, James DeGale, if he'd have got him with Golovkin, he won't beat them boys. Like, they're the elite level boys of the division. But he's a good, solid fighter, and he'll give you problems. But I just can't see him beating James DeGale. I just think it's all about levels, and James is a world-class fighter.
What type of fight do you expect it to be then? Because we've seen, obviously, a lot of people have mentioned Chris has a very good work rate, which he can maintain throughout the fight. Do you think that will be any issues for James on the night?
I think Chris Eubank Jr. is going to be a hard night's work for anyone if you allow him to be. He's fit, strong, tough. He's going to bring the heat. He's not going to shy away. He's confident in his own ability. And if you let him, do what he wants to do, he's a hard night's work for anyone. But when you're talking about the boys of DeGale, Groves, Billy Joe Saunders, they've got God-given talents, they've got God-given ability, and Chris struggles. Like, he's not got the best feet in the world. James is a brilliant mover. He's so awkward. So you could spar with James for 10 years, 15 years, and you still don't know what he's going to do. So he's going to have a lot of problems when he gets in there, because trying to get close to James or even hit James, it's hard work, mate. It's hard work. He's a slick southpaw, Olympic gold medalist. They don't give them their medals away for nothing, and I think everyone's going to see that on the 23rd of Feb.
Obviously, a couple of fights ago, Chris had lost to George Groves. How much are you guys going to look back and analyse Chris's fight with George Groves?
The fight with Groves is a different fight. Groves is an orthodox fighter for one, and I think before that fight, Chris was strongly believed that he would get in there and stop George Groves. And then when he realised that wasn't the case, maybe he's gone away and ate a bit of humble pie, sort of sat down, re-evaluated. I mean, I don't know whether he's going to change his approach to the fight. But he said today that he's going to bring the heat. So we're expecting the best Chris Eubank Jr. because really, it's true what James says. This is a retirement fight. If James DeGale loses, he will 100% retire. He'll be done. If Chris Eubank Jr. loses, where does he go? He's not going to campaign at super middleweight, so does he drop back down to middleweight? Is he going to box Canelo? No. Will he box Golovkin? No. Danny Jacobs? No. Billy Joe Saunders? Probably not. Where does he sort of go when he's talking about world honours? So it could be a retirement fight. It's true what James says.
But at the same time, in terms of where the winner could go, especially for James, if he doesn't want to go and fight for another world title, rather likes of George Groves, that you've just mentioned, is that the fight which you guys would like to get on, have a rematch there? Is that a possibility?
I think it's always been there since, the amateur days, really. And then because of the whole, decision of, he beat me and I got robbed and all that sort of stuff, it's always going to be there. The rivalry stems back years from the amateur days. So one step at a time, take care of Chris Eubank Jr. first, and I'm sure James would welcome George Groves with open arms, and they'll do it again.
Obviously, you guys have Paulie Malignaggi involved with you all now. How are you finding gelling in with him and with the camp?
Yeah, do you know what? He's got some brilliant stories. You sit there for hours just talking about the whole McGregor thing and you know, like his career and all that sort of stuff. And he's a really good guy as well. So yeah, it's wicked having him around.
Are you guys on terms where you can give him a bit of stick over the McGregor situation, or?
Do you know what? Because I don't really know too much about it. Like, I'm taking Paulie's word for it around the stories that he tells us. You know, like we go with that. Obviously, there was the whole picture on Instagram of the drop-in thing and all that sort of stuff. But again, as like we were saying about the sparring and fighting's fighting. It's two completely different things. Like, you might have had a hard day the day before. You might be knackered, and you just think, do you know what? Like, I'm just not feeling up to it today. But when you're like oiled, ready to go, like massage, like good nutrition, mentally on it, adrenaline in your body, different ball game. Little gloves on, completely different.
Well, Eubank Jr, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being to Boxing Social.
Thanks, Andi. Top man.